Anticipated 50% increase in historical research funding across education, media, and government sectors by 2025. Insights from 1960s political assassinations reshaping international policy discussions. Overview. The anticipation of a 50% increase in funding for historical research across education, media, and government sectors by 2025 marks a pivotal development in how societies engage with their past. This surge is largely attributed to a renewed recognition of the relevance of historical events, especially the political assassinations of the 1960s, to contemporary international policy discussions. As policymakers and educators alike seek to learn from the lessons of history, this funding influx is expected to foster a deeper examination of the long-term impacts these events have on modern governance and global relations. Historical context. The 1960s were a tumultuous decade marked by significant political upheaval in the United States and abroad. High-profile assassinations, such as that of President John F. Kennedy in 1963 and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968, not only altered the American political landscape but also reverberated across the globe, influencing international relations during the Cold War. The repercussions of these events resonate in today's political climate, with many scholars advocating for a thorough exploration of their implications to better understand current global dynamics. Driving factors for increased funding. 1. Recognition of historical relevance. Scholars and policymakers are increasingly acknowledging that understanding past events can provide valuable insights into present-day challenges. The political assassinations of the 1960s serve as a critical case study for examining how such events can shift public opinion and policy. 2. Interdisciplinary approach. There is a collective understanding of the necessity for interdisciplinary research that intertwines history, political science, sociology, and media studies. This approach can facilitate comprehensive analyses of how historical narratives shape contemporary societal issues. 3. Educational implications. Increased funding is expected to enhance educational curricula at all levels, embedding historical research into learning frameworks to cultivate a more informed citizenry. This educational focus aims to empower students to critically engage with history and its ongoing influence. For media narratives, the role of media in shaping public perceptions of historical events is crucial. With more funding, researchers can explore how media portrayals of the 1960s political assassinations continue to influence societal views and political discourse today. 5. Policy implications. Government entities are likely to utilize historical insights to inform policy decisions, particularly in areas related to social justice, civil rights, and international relations. Understanding the past can guide more effective and equitable policymaking in the present. Timeline of events and anticipated developments. 1960s, a series of political assassinations take place, significantly impacting American society and politics. These events create a legacy that continues to influence contemporary discussions on governance and civil rights. 1970s to 1980s, the effects of these assassinations resonate through the civil rights movement and foreign policy debates during the Cold War, influencing how the U.S. engages with global partners. 2000s, a resurgence of interest in historical research emerges, driven by globalization and the pressing need to contextualize contemporary issues within a historical framework. 2020s, the growing acknowledgement of the importance of historical research leads to predictions of a 50% increase in funding across education, media, and government sectors by 2025. This funding is seen as a strategic investment to leverage historical insights for addressing current and future challenges. Implications for the future. The projected increase in funding for historical research signifies more than just financial investment. It represents a strategic shift towards valuing the lessons of the past in shaping future policies. As funding becomes available, it will likely lead to enhanced research initiatives. Scholars will have greater resources to conduct in-depth studies on the implications of historical events, particularly the political assassinations of the 1960s. Curricular reforms. Educational institutions will have the opportunity to revise and enhance curricula, ensuring that students are equipped with a comprehensive understanding of history and its relevance to current societal issues. Media engagement. Increased funding will encourage media initiatives focused on historical storytelling. Fostering public discourse around the implications of past events on modern governance. Policy development. Governments may leverage historical insights to create more informed and equitable policies, particularly in areas that address social justice and international relations. Conclusion. The anticipated 50% increase in funding for historical research across education, media, and government sectors by 2025 reflects a critical recognition of the importance of understanding history in shaping contemporary policy discussions. By focusing on the political assassinations of the 1960s, this funding is poised to facilitate a deeper exploration of historical events and their long-term implications, ultimately enriching our understanding of current global dynamics and guiding future decision-making. As we move forward, the integration of historical insights into policy-making, education, and media narratives will be essential in fostering a more informed and engaged society. The content reveals several counterintuitive insights regarding the anticipated increase in historical research funding and its implications for contemporary policy discussions. 1. Funding increase as a policy tool. While increased funding for historical research is typically viewed as an investment in academic knowledge, it is counterintuitive to consider this funding primarily as a strategic tool for shaping current international policy. This suggests that the motives behind funding allocations may extend beyond mere academic advancement to include direct political aims, indicating a deeper intertwining of historical understanding and political maneuvering. 2. Historical events as predictive tools. The assertion that understanding past political assassinations can inform current policymaking may be seen as counterintuitive. Instead of treating history as a static record, this perspective implies that historical events serve as predictive tools for future governance. This shifts the narrative from history being a background context to being a dynamic, influential factor in current political strategies. 3. Interdisciplinary approach unexpectedly central. The emphasis on an interdisciplinary approach that combines history with political science and sociology is not a conventional view. Typically, historical research is compartmentalized within its own discipline, but the current trend indicates a necessity for collaboration across fields to address contemporary challenges. This indicates a broader recognition of the interconnectedness of various academic disciplines in shaping comprehensive policy responses. 4. Ripple effects of domestic events on international relations. The link between domestic political events such as assassinations and their ripple effects on international relations is often understated. It is counterintuitive to think that a domestic tragedy could have significant implications for global dynamics. However, the acknowledgement of such connections underscores the complexity of international relations, suggesting that local events can have far-reaching effects that transcend borders. 5. Educational curriculum focus shift. There is a common perception that education systems prioritize contemporary issues over historical context. However, the anticipated increase in funding for historical research suggests a counter-movement where educational curricula may shift back towards emphasizing historical events, particularly those of the 1960s. This challenges the notion that educational focus is perpetually modern and transient. 6. Media's role in historical interpretation. The idea that media portrayals of historical events will influence public opinion and policy discussions is somewhat expected. However, the extent to which this will shape governmental and educational narratives is surprising. This highlights a counterintuitive relationship between media and history, suggesting that media not only reflects historical interpretation but actively participates in constructing the narratives that inform policy. 7. Funding as a response to globalization. The renewed interest in historical research as a response to globalization is counterintuitive because globalization is often associated with a push towards contemporary universal narratives.
The recognition that historical context is crucial for understanding contemporary global issues challenges the assumption that globalization diminishes the relevance of localized historical narratives.
8. Long-term implications of historical research. The expectation that increased funding will lead to a deeper understanding of historical implications for current global dynamics suggests a long-term view that is often overlooked in policy discussions. Typically, funding is justified by immediate benefits. However, this approach considers the potential for historical research to influence future policy directions, indicating a more strategic and forward-thinking use of resources. These counterintuitive insights challenge conventional perceptions of historical research. Policy formation and the interplay between education, media, and government, illustrating a complex landscape where the past is not merely a record but an active participant in shaping future dynamics. The anticipated 50% increase in historical research funding across education, media, and government sectors by 2025, particularly in relation to the political assassinations of the 1960s, presents several nuanced and significant implications that may be overlooked by the general public and even specialists. Here are the key overlooked aspects and their significance. 1. Interdisciplinary collaboration. Significance. The report emphasizes the need for an interdisciplinary approach merging history, political science, sociology, and media studies. Most discussions around historical research funding typically remain siloed within specific academic disciplines. The call for interdisciplinary collaboration suggests that understanding historical events like the 1960s assassinations requires a multifaceted perspective. This is significant because it can lead to richer, more nuanced insights that inform contemporary policymaking. For example, combining historical analysis with sociological insights can reveal how public sentiment has evolved over time, which is crucial for today's policymakers. 2. Long-term policy implications. Significance. The report notes that the political assassinations of figures such as John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. had ripple effects on international relations. This aspect is often downplayed. However, understanding these long-term implications can guide current international policy. The 1960s were a pivotal time that shaped the U.S. approach to foreign policy, especially during the Cold War. By investing in historical research, there is potential to uncover lessons that can inform strategies for current geopolitical tensions, particularly in regions where political instability persists. 3. Media's role in shaping historical narratives. Significance. The anticipated funding increase may lead to a re-examination of how historical events are portrayed in the media. The report highlights the role of media narratives in shaping public opinion and policy. This is crucial because media representation can either perpetuate myths or clarify historical realities, influencing how future generations interpret these events. A deeper exploration of these narratives can empower media professionals to present more accurate historical contexts, which is essential for democratic discourse. 4. Civic education and public engagement. Significance. The integration of historical research into educational curricula is poised to enhance civic education. The report suggests that greater funding will help incorporate lessons from the 1960s into current educational frameworks. This is significant as it fosters a more informed citizenry that understands the historical precedents of present-day issues. An educated public is better equipped to engage in civic discourse, participate in democratic processes, and hold policymakers accountable. 5. Global perspectives on historical events. Significance. While the focus has been on the U.S. context, the report implies a broader international relevance of the 1960s political assassinations. This perspective can lead to a richer understanding of how history is interconnected globally. Recognizing that the implications of these events extend beyond U.S. borders can help foster international dialogue and collaboration on shared challenges. This approach can also contribute to a more nuanced understanding of global history, where different cultures and nations can learn from each other's pasts. 6. potential for political polarization. Significance: the report does not explicitly address the risks associated with increased funding for historical research, particularly regarding political polarization. As historical narratives are re-examined, the potential exists for divergent interpretations that could exacerbate existing divisions. This is significant because it underscores the importance of approaching historical research with a critical lens, ensuring that the goal is not to reinforce partisan narratives but to foster a comprehensive understanding of history that encourages dialogue and reconciliation. 7. Technological advancements in historical research. Significance: the increase in funding might coincide with advancements in technology that facilitate historical research, such as digital archives, data analytics, and online collaborative platforms. This aspect is important because it can democratize access to historical resources, allowing a greater diversity of voices to contribute to historical narratives. This could lead to more inclusive histories that reflect the experiences of marginalized groups, offering a fuller picture of the past. Conclusion: the anticipated increase in historical research funding presents an opportunity for profound advancements in understanding the past and its implications for the present and future. However, the significance of interdisciplinary collaboration, long-term policy implications, media representation, civic education, global perspectives, potential for polarization, and technological advancements are vital aspects that warrant attention. Addressing these elements can ensure that the funding not only serves academic interests but also contributes meaningfully to societal progress and informed governance. 1. Increased funding for historical research. The projected 50% increase in funding for historical research across education, media, and government sectors by 2025 highlights a significant shift in recognizing the value of historical insights in shaping current and future policies. This funding surge is expected to enhance the depth of research on pivotal historical events like the political assassinations of the 1960s, thereby providing a more comprehensive understanding of their implications on contemporary political landscapes. 2. Historical relevance to contemporary policy. The ongoing relevance of the 1960s political assassinations, such as those of John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr., underscores the necessity of integrating historical context into current international policy discussions. These events not only influenced domestic policy but also had far-reaching effects on international relations during critical periods like the Cold War. Researchers are being encouraged to draw parallels between past events and current political dynamics to inform better policymaking. 3. Interdisciplinary approach. The anticipated increase in historical research funding promotes an interdisciplinary approach that combines history, political science, sociology, and other fields. This holistic perspective is essential for understanding the complex interplay between historical events and modern governance. By fostering collaboration among various disciplines, scholars can gain deeper insights into how historical narratives shape public opinion and policy decisions today. 4. Implications for education and media. The increase in funding is expected to significantly impact educational curricula and media narratives. As schools and universities incorporate more historical context into their programs, students and the public will gain a better understanding of how historical events influence contemporary issues. Additionally, media portrayals of these events will likely shift to reflect this new understanding, leading to a more informed public discourse on historical and current events. This educational shift aims to cultivate a society better equipped to engage with and navigate today's political complexities. 1. Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand 1914. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria in Sarajevo was a pivotal moment that triggered World War I. This event altered the course of history, leading to significant geopolitical changes and the eventual rise of various political movements across Europe. The ripple effects of this assassination can still be seen in contemporary international relations, particularly in the Balkans. 2. Assassination of Robert F. Kennedy 1968. The assassination of Senator Robert F. Kennedy in Los Angeles marked a tragic moment in American history and had profound implications for the political landscape of the United States. His death, coming shortly after that of Martin Luther King Jr., led to increased political polarization and social unrest. It also influenced discussions regarding civil rights, social justice, and U.S. foreign policy, particularly in the context of the Vietnam War. 3. Assassination of Benazir Bhutto 2007. The assassination of former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto in Pakistan had a significant impact on both domestic and international politics. Bhutto's death not only destabilized Pakistan but also affected U.S. foreign policy in the region, particularly in relation to the fight against terrorism and the promotion of democratic governance. Her assassination highlighted the complex interplay between political violence and international relations, influencing how countries engage with Pakistan and its political dynamics. The future outlook regarding the anticipated 50% increase in historical research funding across education, media, and government sectors by 2025 is optimistic and multifaceted. This surge in funding is predicted to reshape the way historical events, particularly the political assassinations of the 1960s, are integrated into contemporary discourse and policymaking processes. Key predictions for the future. 1. Enhanced educational curriculum. The influx of funding is expected to lead to significant changes in educational curricula at various levels. Schools and universities will likely incorporate more comprehensive studies of the 1960s political landscape, emphasizing critical events like the assassinations of John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. This will foster a deeper understanding of how these events shaped modern governance and civil rights movements. 2. Improved media narratives. With increased funding, media organizations may invest more in historical research to create informed and nuanced narratives surrounding past events. Documentaries, articles, and series will likely explore the implications of these assassinations on current socio-political climates, helping the public draw parallels between past and present, ultimately shaping public opinion and discourse. 3. Interdisciplinary research initiatives. The rise in funding will encourage interdisciplinary approaches that combine history, political science, sociology, and other fields. Research initiatives will likely emerge that analyze the cascading effects of 1960s events on contemporary international relations. Scholars and policymakers may collaborate more closely, using historical insights to inform current policy decisions and diplomatic strategies. 4. Policy development and international relations. Governments are expected to leverage historical research to guide policy development, particularly in areas of civil rights, international diplomacy, and conflict resolution. By understanding the historical context of political assassinations and their aftermath, policymakers might be better equipped to navigate current political tensions and foster more effective international collaborations. 5. Public engagement and awareness. Increased funding will also likely lead to initiatives aimed at raising public awareness of historical events and their relevance today. Public programs, exhibitions, and workshops could become more common, helping to engage citizens in discussions about history's role in shaping contemporary issues, thereby promoting a more informed electorate. 6. Digital archiving and accessibility. The future may also see advancements in digital archiving and accessibility of historical documents related to the 1960s. Enhanced funding could facilitate the digitization of archives, making critical historical documents more accessible to researchers, educators, and the public, thereby fostering a more robust engagement with history. 7. Global perspectives. As funding increases, there is potential for a shift towards a more global perspective in historical research. Scholars may begin to draw connections between the events of the 1960s in the United States and other global movements, exploring how these historical moments influenced international policy and civil rights movements around the world. 8. Long-term implications for governance. Finally, the anticipated increase in funding for historical research is likely to have long-term implications for governance. By embedding historical context into policy frameworks, future leaders may develop more thoughtful and effective strategies for addressing contemporary challenges, ultimately contributing to more stable and informed governance models.
Conclusion.
The projected 50% increase in historical research funding by 2025 signifies a pivotal moment in how we engage with our past to inform the present and future. By prioritizing historical context in education, media, and policy, society can better navigate contemporary challenges,
ensuring that the lessons learned from the political upheavals of the 1960s continue to resonate in today's global landscape.
This funding boost represents not just an investment in research but a strategic initiative to harness the power of history as a tool for understanding and improving current and future societal dynamics.